Yo, what up, y'all? Y'all know what it is, yo. This your boy, yo, and we back with another episode of Sparking Conversation. This will be episode 9 right here. And today, we're going to be talking to a couple of my homeboys, yo. We're going to be chopping it up like men do or like men supposed to, yo. We're going to be chopping it up about all the controversy that's been going on out here in the world of sports and entertainment with the whole Hebrews to Negro documentary, and the attack on freedom of speech and what it really means to be Semitic and anti-Semitic, as well as who are we really, So what we want to do is we're going to chop it up a little bit about that. When my guests come on, I'm going to get into that, yo. I'm going to let them get into who they are and what they do. And then they also work with me on other things like our skits and all our marketing stuff that we're doing as far as our gear, which y'all know that today's show, all the shows are sponsored by Collective Wear. CEO is Mental, as y'all can see. CEO is Mental, yo. And y'all know what to do, man. If y'all want to get one of these shirts, man, cop one of these shirts, y'all know what to do. Just support us. Just go to the link tree right there, linktree/TCMG1, and then you can find our merch button. And also, we have a tab up there which you guys can support. You can support the show. And I promise you, every dollar that you guys give, it goes right back into production so we can stay quality and give it to y'all the right way. You know what I'm saying? So I also want y'all to do is I want y'all to also make sure as y'all going out here and y'all doing this surfing and y'all add music to y'all playlists and stuff. I want y'all to make sure y'all add these records to y'all playlist. This is my new record, one of my new records right here called Spend the Night featuring S Journey. I want y'all boys to go out there and y'all females to go out there and I want y'all to stream that joint, yo. Let me know what y'all think.
So far, it would be alright if we spend the night. Ain't gon' lie, we gon' be all night. Yeah, spend the night. I bet you the neighbors be uptight if we spend the night. So high, we gon' touch the sky if we spend the night. That room shaking back.
Right, so y'all know what it is. That's that Spinning Night joint right there. But also, I got a new record that also dropped. This joint is called Feels So Good, man. I want y'all to check that joint out too. Make sure y'all add that to y'all playlist.
Yeah, I'm going listen, alright. And she said, yeah, please, cause this is something I need. This show ain't rocket science, so maybe not be too deep, but every time that you're with me, feels so good. Yeah, come on, feels so good. So
Yeah. So y'all know what it is, man. I want y'all to make sure y'all go out there and check that out, yo. But yeah, so what we gonna do, we're gonna get started. I got both of my guests in the building, you know what I mean? And we're gonna introduce them and get them on. But real quick, y'all, what I want to do is I want to mention that, the Hebrews to Negro documentary, the issue comes in that, or how it was even deemed anti-Semitic, you know what I mean? And I'm not just saying that because I happen to be a black man and, they expect us to always be defending certain things. But if the truth is the truth, it's the truth, So we're going to get into that a little bit. We're going to chop it up a little bit. Not just about that, but we're going to talk about freedom of speech too. What it's like to be black in America and be able to speak your truth. It's for some reason that anytime we get into our bag about speaking our truth, we get hated on, we get set up for cancellation, and a lot of it come from our own people. Our own people be the first and ready to quick to shut us down. The whole being woke theory. They hate for a person to be woke, y'all. They hate for a person to be awakened. And even to be that sometimes, a lot of times people, they pass judgment too at the same time because they feel like they know more than another person. But at the end of the day, it ain't so much about how much you know. It's about how you apply that knowledge that you do have. What are you going to do with that knowledge that you do have? And finding out who you are is something that we all should be doing. If you're black in America, you should be figuring out exactly where you come from or where you are. If you're a minority in America, whether you're Latino, whether you are, just Native American, like if you feel like you're Native American or you was brought up in that way, you should know exactly how far back you go and exactly where you come from. And I think that's very important for us, It's like that old saying goes, you got to know where you've been to know where you're going. And a lot of times, a lot of us don't even understand ourselves fully because we haven't taken the time to understand where we come from. We come from a long line. Our DNA stretch out long, y'all. And it's a lot of information in that DNA that's locked up because we don't know how to access it. You know what I'm saying? So without further ado, I'm about to bring my guest on. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna introduce them, and then I'm gonna let them introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about themselves and what they got going on. Both of these brothers, they work with me a lot. One of them worked with me on music. I've been working with him with music for the last 15 years or so. And then we got my other homeboy, you know what I'm saying, Illy, who been rocking with me for a while, man, on these skits and all these other things, man, supportive. And these brothers are knowledgeable. Flows has his own podcast. So we're going to chop it up with him about that. Definitely about sports and stuff, but sports is being attacked right now. And so I'm very eager to get his opinion on what he think about everything that's been going on. So without further ado, y'all, I'm going to introduce my boys to y'all, man. It's my boy Kev Illy, yo. What up, Ab? Yo, you got to unmute your mic, fam. Unmute your mic.
Yes, sir. What's
there
up?
There you go. What's going on, fam? How you?
Doing good, man. Blessed. How are you?
Hey, man, me too, man. We out here making it happen, B. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad to have you on the platform, yo. Word up. You know what I'm saying? It's always good chopping it up with you and stuff like that, B. You already know.
For sure.
All right. So I'm going to bring Flows on, too, because my man is here, yo. So we're going to add him on, yo. Yo, what up, fam?
What's good? What's good? Can you hear me?
Hey, man. Yeah. We can hear you, man. What's going on with you?
Cool, man, Rod. What's good, Illy?
What up?
Yo, I see you got the Black Panther shades on, so you ready for tonight's conversation, yo.
The Morpheus joint, right?
Word up, yo. That's what's up, yo. So, yo, like I said, yo, this is my boy Kev and my boy Flows. And so, listen, real quick, y'all, I want Flows. I want you to tell them a little bit about yourself, man, and your background, y'all.
My name is Flows Infinite. You know, part of TCMG Collective Music Group. Background, I'm definitely from Brooklyn. It's on my chest, trying to hide the number because it ain't the right number right now. But I'm from Brooklyn, New York, grew up in, North Carolina in the South, and families from the islands. Shout out to Jamaica. So I feel like I've been brought up, with a lot of different cultural outlooks. Grew up with people from California, Louisiana, Jersey, everywhere. Background in music, we did music. We're still doing music. We've done music, like you said, for over 15 years. It's been a while. It's a long time. Right. Now I'm actually evolving into kind of like where Kyrie is, on his path of kind of finding yourself, finding information about yourself, about people, financial literacy. And I do the podcast on the side, shout out to, football right now. I can't watch basketball right now. I'm in my protest mode, but that kind of wraps it up. I don't want to, go too much.
All right. So what up, Kev? Tell people a little bit about you, man, like where you from and all that.
Yeah, from the great state of Michigan, shout out to us. We're going to get a team in the bowl game, college football. We ain't mad at them right now.
Right.
Speaking of that, I definitely want to send my condolences out to the families and the players from Virginia, that were.
Yeah, man, for real, man.
All the people impacted by that. I definitely want to shout that out because we are, things that are relevant to not just you and I, but our culture. That's a relevant thing. That's gun violence, but that's another conversation. But what I do want to say, I'm from Michigan. I've lived a lot of different states. I'm a military brat, so I moved around. I lived in Texas, so I've encountered people from Texas. I was there when Katrina hit, so when everyone from New Orleans came up, and just getting that different. I'm new to Texas and I'm from Michigan, so it's all new to me. I'm meeting people from New Orleans. Their culture is so much different, and you sit here and see people look just like you and I. They speak fluent French. It's Creole.
Right. Yo, yeah. That's what's so dope about about getting out of where you from, because you get to explore other people's cultures. You get to see other parts of the world. You get to realize that you ain't the only one that's possibly going through something. Right. If there's something that you're going through, you know what I mean? Or even be able to meet somebody that can help you come out of that. Exactly. So real quick, y'all, I know based on the topic is, what we was going to talk about today. I know both of you brothers have seen the Hebrews to Negro. I've actually seen both of you guys comment or make different comments online regarding it. And that's the reason why I wanted to have y'all on the program today, because I felt like we could have some really good dialogue about just what we feel about that as being men and as being entrepreneurs as well too, with the whole fact of, you know, it's a lot of censorship on what we say, you know what I mean? But it's not supposed to be that way in the land of the free. That's supposed to be, you know, where it's allowable to have what we call freedom of speech. But nowadays, we have so many other groups of people who actually decide to stick together that could come and say, like, what you're saying is offensive or what you're saying is wrong, even if what you're saying it's not in that particular context. You know, it's just based on the way a person wakes up in the morning and say, oh, I feel this way today, and I don't want you to feel that way. So I'm going to say something about it. And I'm going to get all my people that stand with me, and we're going to stand behind it. And then we got to worry about what is considered cancel culture. Right? Mm-hmm. So what I'm going to do is, all right, so Flows, let me ask you, man, you know, being that you do have a podcast that is relevant to sports and entertainment, but you know, you talk a lot about the sports. I know that your team is the Cowboys. We already know you guys have such an you know, illusions in life. You know, believing you guys every year you guys are gonna win it. We know that. But how do you feel personally about the way that, you know, athletes are being affected by being able to be themselves? First off,
I mean, I feel like a majority of people nowadays see the unfairness of how you would allow some athletes and some commenters to say things about some people and then not allow others. The real question is why? Why can't athletes do this? And why can't they say what they want to say about particular subjects? Because I'm not gonna lie, NBA has done a lot when it comes to being outspoken. They were very outspoken when we were getting, you know, police brutality. They were allowing their players to speak about it, right. And not too much backlash, you know, and things like that here and there, but not to this magnitude. Again, I'm gonna rewind it back. The question is, why can't we even touch on things that are based on our past? And from what I understand, from what I've gathered, because I do a lot of research, listen to a lot of different sides of the equation. I listen to some Jewish people. The problem is that it's a very small percentage of people that don't want us to know our past, because if we did know our past, it would contradict a lot of things that we know today.
That's right.
And that goes into the sports. Right. A lot of owners are Jewish. You know, a lot of connections, managers, and things like that are Jewish. It's facts.
Right.
We want to be able to have a conversation when you don't agree with something that we posted. It's like we can't even say anything before we're buck broken all over the media, which they control as well. So it's not like the media is going out there and saying what they feel on the subject, or these other athletes like Shaq and Charles Barkley are going out there saying things that I think are not from their thoughts. They're saying things to either impress somebody on the back end, or they have to say these things. You know what I'm saying? Before they get money taken from them. So that's why I think, you know, just on the athlete side, why they're not able to speak is because their money is tied up to people that unfortunately feel
that want to keep that want to hide the truth. I mean, if we want to really be honest about it, it's a lot of people who don't want certain people to know certain information, because if they knew certain information, if they knew exactly who they were, then they know what they can do. A lot of us, you know, like especially in the entertainment, what I think about when it comes to athletes not being able to say things, it's almost like that old thing, like, you know, Master, like, I don't care. I've been good to you. You ain't gonna tell nobody about what I'm doing in this house,
right?
Because I'm paying you. I'm giving you all these things. You better go out there. Because I remember watching one of these movies, and I can't think of the name of it, but I want to say it was probably The Roots, one of the episodes of The Roots, where the slaves were freed, right? And they were given the option to get on a boat to go back to Africa, and you know, certain slaves, they got on the boat. They got all the way up to getting on the boat, but saw their master and ran off the boat and just ran to their master. Like, forget it. I don't want to be free. You get what I'm saying? So we have some deep-rooted psychological issues that we got to deal with. You know what I mean? I think personally that helps us to move through. So, Kev, this is going to bring my question to you. Like, how do you think that affects us when it comes to our mental stability for us to be able to, we try to figure out something, we get knocked down as to say that's not it. When we know what we feel.
Yeah, I think that you know, we've been struggling to try to find legitimacy because we don't know who we are. We don't know where we're from. We don't know our culture fully. We don't know anything because we were stripped of everything. So when you take a person who doesn't speak their native tongue, who doesn't eat the food from their land, who doesn't know anything about their past, only thing that we were given was that our past starts as slavery.
Right.
So we don't know nothing beyond, hey, West Africa, transatlantic slave trade. That's when our history starts. They don't teach anything beyond that, you know, and yeah, go back to Africa. There's over 40 countries in Africa. Which one am I from? You know,
Exactly.
Where am I from? And then why is it a bad thing that I ask these questions? Why is it a bad thing that I express myself, that I'm, you know, intuitive? I want to know. You know, my son had an assignment yesterday, man. Something very simple, a family crest. And one of the questions was to, you know, draw the flag of the country that your family's from. And it's like, my family, I mean, we're here in America, but we're not American. If you was to ask that to Juan, just use the name Juan, he could say, oh, Mexico. Yeah, my people from Mexico, boom, draw the flag. You know, Flows, you got ties to Jamaica, boom, draw the flag. You know what I'm saying? You have cultures, you have customs from the Caribbean, from the islands, and say, yeah, this is where my people came from, you know, so I know something about it, but I can't tell my son nothing. You know, I can't say, hey, man, no, we're definitely from Congo. You know what I'm saying? We're from the Sudan. You know, we're from Nigeria. We're from Egypt.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You tell my son that. So
when that's an investment. Yeah.
So when you start asking questions, or when you know, once we learned how to read and we like, wait a minute now, it say clear as day in this Bible that you gave us that Solomon is black. So if Solomon was black, you know, is this Bible a representation of our history put into words? You know, when you start tracing these people back, you're like, well, wait a minute now, hold up. Then you go back to the flood story with Noah and his 3 sons, and you look at where his sons dispersed to. And now you're sitting here like, wait a minute now, you know, you look at Deuteronomy 28 and you're like, what people have went through all of these things, it's us. You know?
And I think that's the hardest part about why I think it's so terrible that we don't stick together, because if you kind of look at it from that standpoint, the way that it's broken down, it's so evident as to who the people are. But we will allow a person that will throw a temper tantrum in a heartbeat to say, no, it ain't you, it's me. No, look at me. Don't look at them. Look at me. It's about me. It's about me. When in history shows that even when it comes to that particular culture, that those are a group of people that did things to themselves. You understand what I'm saying? Like, there's not a place in history that involved us, part of the transatlantic slavery, we were selling anybody that was considered to be Jewish.
Never.
Like, we don't have that history. We don't have that history of those that was considered to be kept in concentration camps and branded like animals and stuff like that. We don't share that history of being those oppressors that was a part of that. But then when it comes down to who we are as a people, we're not allowed to express like, yo, like genetically or by our DNA or by the blood that we very well carry, that we are from these particular regions. So this is who we are. The point is, though, what I want to say is, you know, for us, it's going to take us to do a little bit more investment in ourselves. And what I mean by that is that, you know, some of us are going to have to take that little few $100s and jump out there and get those, you know, the African ancestry DNA, you know, tests. Because I hear a lot of people saying, yo, I don't want to do that because then they're going to have my DNA and they could clone me. I said, well, yo, do you go to the doctor? They're like, yeah, you don't get blood drawn? I'm like, yeah, all right, well, they got you anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, it's not a thing where you got to figure that out. If you've been going to take COVID tests for anything, they got you. Like it's no need for you to be worried about what they're gonna do when they got that versus you not knowing who you are based on what they got. If they took something from you, don't you want to know what it was that they took? I think that should be something that we should all know. Like it's so much of us that's sitting up here trying to be so protective of ourselves, but then we give so much of ourselves away at the same time without wanting to know any information. So this is a question I want to ask you guys too. This is directly related to the actual film. So what was important to me about the film was the fact that they didn't just call out regions, they called out DNA sequences. I think that made it a lot more interesting than just a person up there commenting on what, you know, they feel like is from this region and that region. They actually put DNA sequences and haplogroups in that documentary. So for a person that did go get their DNA sequence, if your haplogroup matched anything that was in that documentary, this would be you. That was the most controversial thing that I think that they took from that. I don't know how many people are going to actually look at it from that standpoint. I think a lot of people are just going to look at it based on the dialogue, but they're not going to look at it from that particular standpoint that they gave everybody out there who actually watches this a blueprint of at least giving the basis of if you go find out exactly who you are, if you match any of these things, this is who you are. You get what I'm saying? So for y'all, when it came down to that particular portion, either one of y'all could jump in and speak on this. What did you take away from the DNA, the portions that they were breaking down when it was breaking down these different tribes and breaking down these different regions that they were in? They were breaking down DNA sequences. So how did that affect y'all? Like, what did y'all think about that in reference to them putting that in the documentary?
Yeah, I'll jump in on that. The DNA for me, like that was one of those things where it's like, you know what? It's not my word. It's not your word. It's my DNA. It's the bloodline. Because in all the, in all the imagery that they give us, the TV shows they give us, they talk about bloodline and how important the bloodline is. I watch Dragons, the Targaryen bloodline, blah, blah, blah. And they're so big on bloodline. But when my bloodline can be traced back to these tribes that are over there, can be traced back to a certain area. And then we use history books and you can say, okay, when you place this here, this is proof. This is undisputable proof. It's not my opinion. This is the DNA sequence that runs in my body for 14 generations or whatever it may be. It is right there. You can't dispute that because, there's no hard
fact. It's all facts. And I think that's the worst part about what we're dealing with is that where the truth is more entertaining. No, the lie is more entertaining than the truth, right? So more people will rather have a debate about what they think is right or wrong versus them saying, all right, like let's not debate. Let's go straight to what is a fact, right? So Flows, what was your takeaway from the fact that the DNA sequences was dropped as well as the information in this documentary?
I'm gonna echo that. That was kind of like I don't need to talk about it. Here's all the proof that you need to show where these tribes are coming from and where that particular people are from. Like the Ashkenazi, I think that's how you say it, Ashkenazi Jew.
Right.
That DNA, they have a very specific, trope, not trope, but they have a very specific DNA that you can trace back, and that don't match. From the, places that they say they were, things like that.
Exactly.
And
when you break down, go ahead.
That goes back to what Illy was saying. It's like they're in control of the history that we know. So whenever someone that has a platform, that's the biggest thing. That's what they worry about. We pay you to play basketball, and that's all they expect you to do. They don't expect you to go back to your community. They don't expect you to help nobody like that. Kyrie already beat them with I'm not getting the jab. Let me be careful how I speak because what kind of platform we're on. He beat them. They put pressure on him about it. He said, no, this is my thing. Then he came out, found out he was Indian, Sioux tribe, all this other stuff. They known Kyrie as being a person that can influence us in a positive light. So when we talk about the DNA and all that, he didn't have to say nothing. It was just the points of the film that when they watched it, they was like, oh man, you know, this is too much information that we can allow. So I think that was they say a lot of things in the media what they was mad about, but like Rod, I think that was the biggest thing in the film that they're scared about us learning.
And that's the one thing that I think is the only reason why they didn't attack the film, because I was always trying to figure out why they never attacked the film. Why they attacking people for watching it or expressing it, but why they didn't attack the film? And that's one of the reasons why I felt like they didn't, because where we as a people, I hope that this does or motivates people is to find out who they are, is to take. I know people like to go out. I know they like to go on trips. I know they like to do all these different things. But even if they found a way where they can make payments, I think people need to find out, like African ancestry. I mean, you could go and you could do 23andMe's and all this other stuff. I don't really know about that. I'm just saying, like, going to find out exactly what that is, to find out what group you belong to. Because that is going to explain a lot, because now when you say things, it's certain things that people cannot say to you. Like, they can't say anti-Semitic if you're a Semitic person, based on your DNA. So you get to be able to say, and it's no need to attack people to be malicious about anything. It's the fact of saying, like, yo, you got your history. This is what you said that you were. All right, boom. This don't coincide with the Bible that you gave, with the Torah that you read, or with the Quran that y'all said was given by an angel. Yeah. Because if you saying all of these things, then in these things they're saying that these are the regions that these places happened at. These are the people or the societies that were affected by these particular decisions during the time that these scriptures was created, right? So if that was these people, if you tell me that the Great Sphinx was built with a technology that's unmatched right now when it comes to the pyramids, meaning that they were able to put bricks together without solder and there's no space in between, and no matter how many years, there's no holes that you can see from the outside to the inside of not one pyramid. So if you could say that these things were created, then I mean, you're saying these groups of people were there when this was created?
They take credit for that. They take credit for building the pyramid.
And the reason why they take that credit is because most of us don't do what? Like we're saying, we don't go find out. We'll take the fact that we're from New York, New Jersey, North Carolina, California. We'll take all of that and be prideful about that. You know, that's why it's so much gang violence, because people will take their city or their square block that they live in, right? And they so proud of that.
Don't own that.
And it ain't theirs.
Ain't theirs.
You know what I'm saying? And then when you figure out who you are, like for example, I didn't see the breakdown when Kyrie did his DNA, but I did mine, and mine came back. When mine came back that I belong to Egypt. So the group of people, my ancestors, was in Egypt the whole time. So that means that my people had to be back all the way back to consider who the Cushites was. So the people that was responsible for building the Sphinx and the pyramid. So once I realized that, because there was so many things about myself that I didn't understand. Like, if y'all know, I had a bunch of like clothing line that had Egyptian symbols on it. Mm-hmm. Right. You see what I'm saying? And had no idea where the fascination of it came from, or even the interest of going to it. And then I just recently found out what my DNA was. You know what I'm saying? We came out with this line last year. So without even knowing, it came. And I think that that's one of the things about us as a people. Like, once you put in the atmosphere what you're looking for, it's going to come to you. But we got to put those particular energies out in the atmosphere, y'all. Like, yo, we really need to figure out where we come from. Like, not, where we come from to the fact of, like, where we from as far as the state is concerned. We need to know where we come from as far as, like, where our parents, or where our mothers, let's not say parents, let's say where our mothers came from.
Right. And
You know
you
what I
said
mean?
something. You said something very enlightening, right? Is that we take pride where we're from. Like we're all not the same people. Like like
Right,
if we were just dropped off at a different, like with Jamaicans and don't like Haitians, for example, or they say they don't get along.
right, right,
But
right,
it's
right.
just a different stop. It's a different stop from where we got dropped off. We all
Exactly,
came from the same area, and we was people already here in America. A lot of people don't talk about that part neither. That you
exactly,
can have people that you could be from here, because the Native American that they show in movies and all this other stuff is not the actual Native American look like me and you, bro.
Yeah.
exactly. And they broke that down in this documentary too, because I was going to
Exactly.
get into that because when they talk about the law, first of all, what we understand about history, which they, so many people try to deny the fact that, when they get into like King Mansa Musa, for example, you
Mhm.
know, he was responsible for navigating the earth before any European ever had a ship.
Mhm.
Correct.
You get
Correct.
what I'm saying? It's all kind of Egyptian hieroglyphs and architecture over here in North and South and Central America, y'all.
Right. And
You,
especially in South and Central America. And that's why they try to cut us off. That's why it's a lot of reason why they try
that's
to.
why the border is
Right.
so. You
Thank
know
you.
what I
They
mean?
don't want
That's
us
why
attached to that culture. That's
exactly
our culture.
because just like I know is that the point ain't too much about what you know. It's about how you apply the information. And I think most of us out here we have a sense of as a people, right? We hate each other so much that we have a sense of competition. Like
Right.
we always in a competition to try to prove each other wrong. We don't try to
Right.
prove each other right. We try to prove each other wrong. Like we'll get into a scenario where people will put money before anything. Like, yo, man, I'm out here. I'm just trying to get this money, man. I don't care nothing about all that other shit. Not knowing that if they did find out who they were, it's probably a whole bunch of money sitting up there waiting on them.
Mm-hmm.
What happens if you do your DNA and it comes back that you were, you Native American?
You got a lot of grants that you can take advantage of.
Ah, right. And
Land,
you sitting out here risking your life when there's millions of dollars out there
reservation.
waiting on you that all you gotta do is write a letter for.
Right.
So that's the type of stuff that I'm talking about. It's a mindset, a mentality, right? So let me ask y'all guys this, man. Like this is another thing directed from the documentary. The one thing that the narrator kept saying is that you have to open your mind. Now, that was one thing that I always think was one of the simplest, but it was one of the most powerful things to be saying and to keep saying it. Like you have to open your mind because the fact that your mind has been closed to religion.
Hmm.
So
Reach.
let me ask y'all this. Either one of y'all boys could jump in because I know we've all had an experience with some type of religious upbringing from, some type of way. With me, my name's Rashid. So, I grew up with Islam on one side and Christianity on the other. You know what I mean? I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure both of you guys have some type of religious background, right? I know for me, it just never seemed comfortable. Like it never seemed.
I know exactly what you're saying, man. It's
Right.
I feel like the Baptist church, which is what a lot of us were kind of thrust into. Hey, if you Black Baptist, so you go to Baptist church, they sing the songs, they start doing prosperity gospel. It's a good show, and then you leave. And our grandparents, they felt fulfilled. We had questions, and when they couldn't answer our questions, I think that led a lot of us out of the traditional church.
That's fact.
You know what I'm saying? Something that you said, like, you stumbled upon this and for some reason you were drawn to it. That's your spirit. You know what I'm saying? We live in the spiritual realm, and it's like, man, when you start getting closer to the truth, your body gets hungry for it. Your mind, you got to open your mind and you got to say, now, wait a minute. We about to celebrate Christmas next month. And you got to ask yourself, like, why
What am I
celebrating? And why is there certain parts that's Jesus, certain parts that's Santa? They both white though. You know what I'm saying? They flight. And it's one of them things where if you look at the story of Santa and where it came from, you can understand why they cling to him. But he doesn't do with us. We was in a whole different part of the world at that time.
And not even that. You got to think about it. Where the story of Santa comes from. I mean,
break it down.
To me, it was the story of Krampus. For the story of Krampus. That's why anytime anybody get out here and they celebrate Christmas and they celebrate Santa Claus is just the representation of Krampus. Krampus was really the original deity that what they used to create Christmas, because the gifts was not a gift that was given to you as something that was wrapped up in a bow. What it was the sacrifice of your children.
Mm-hmm.
This is hence why the whole Santa on the lap thing and the naughty and nice thing is something that is part of that, because they took little small pieces of it just to kind of cover it up, to make it just enough for everybody to be able to digest it in a way where they didn't completely get rid of it, but enough to make sure that people still found a way to celebrate it in some type of way. So what Santa is the watered down version of the true meaning, which is people giving their children, sacrificing their children to a pedophile deity.
Right.
Because that's exactly what it stands for. Because if you take the whole story of where they say Christmas comes from, if it's about the birth of Jesus Christ, or well, who they call Jesus Christ, because we know Jesus, the name Jesus is the European translation. We understand that in Hebrewic language, they didn't pronounce the J. So his name wouldn't have been Jesus anyway. So, but we're gonna skip past that. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna skip past that. We're gonna skip past that. But what we are gonna say is that if it's about his birth and people bringing him gifts because his birth or where he came into the world, why are we celebrating in the sense of why we giving each other gifts? Why?
Well,
why are we giving each other gifts?
Let me bring it back a little. Let me bring it back to the original question you asked, Rob, about religion.
Gotcha.
And how, how it's affected us, I would say.
Right.
Obviously, a lot of us, like Illy, me, I was brought up in a Baptist household. My mom ain't make me go to church though. She, her mother made her go to church. So for us, we went to church sparingly. So it was not like I had to forcefully go to church. Unfortunately, a lot of people that I knew that was in the church, they were opposite of church-like. But that's here nor there. But the reason why they gave us this form of religion is that it's very forgiving that we were in conditions that normally our warrior mind state would have kicked in. We'd have been like, nah, we ain't doing this. We about to jump master tonight.
Right.
But if we're in the, like our parents were brought up in that situation where they're very forgiving, leave it up to God. It's pray about it. It's not a lot of action. You know what I'm saying? So we started asking these questions. It didn't make sense to us. It pushed us into a situation where we're trying to become more spiritual.
Right.
So
right.
It's natural for us, especially in our generation, is to naturally get into that spiritual game, because that we ain't getting nothing from religion. So when we hear things like, man, spiritual things you can say, or the spirituality of like eating mush, like when the Indians ate mushrooms, things like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's another. You know why? Because I'm gonna tell you that. I'm gonna tell you the main reason why I think more people are scared of the spirituality part of things is because they've been told that part of it is evil. Right. We've been told that anything that has to do with a cult is evil, and then when you look up the word occult, it only means that which is hidden.
Right.
So why would a word with a basic definition like that be considered evil? It says that which is hidden. So that's what the word occult means. So when we go and we find out that they mean science.
Right.
So then we go and we find out the creation story, and you break it down. We break it down. The creation story was all based on science.
Right.
The whole thing about Adam and Eve and the breaking down, that was all science. In the sense of those that had a higher knowledge, had a higher sense of knowledge that was able to learn or know what to do with these particular science and was able to break it down. And I think for us, the worst thing about us as a people is that we shy away from anything that makes us feel like a nerd, yo. Like I never understood why it made us like being smart made people feel like less than. Like it's cool to act ignorant. But let me say this before we go on a tangent, yo. I want to ask y'all this because this is another thing about the documentary that was stood out to me, man. And I wanted to see if this thing stood out to y'all as well too. Did y'all see that when it came to places like Asia and Australia? Did y'all see the original people, or did y'all see the group of people that
were blind?
That are never shown anywhere on National Geographic or nothing. They never show these groups of people that actually occupy these places. You seen all them dark-skinned people in Asia and in Australia?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, yeah, man. Listen, that right there. When you took the Australian portion of it, the deep in Asia portion of it, when they show pictures of even the Native Americans over here, and you start looking at the complexion of all these people, and then you see that they had the same genetic markers, you like, wait a minute, if this tribe and this tribe and this tribe and they spread all over the land, you know, somebody's not telling me the truth here.
Yeah, exactly. And then it was the features too, like the skin complexion, yeah, but the facial feature structures and head structure, like all those particular things, like when you looked at those and you compared those, you was like, yo, that look like people that you know that you grew up with, or like, you know what I'm saying? So I personally was like, damn, y'all, like I don't know if going back to Africa, like in the sense of just everybody migrating back there, is something that we should do, because you know at the end of the day we're not even accepted by those that understood how we was taken away from there.
Right.
But what I will say is that technically, mentally, we have to find a way to come together, basically mentally and spiritually. Like I understand, like, you know, trying to get groups of people together all the time physically is not something that always works. That's why it's such a good thing that we can do things like this, where we can have these podcasts and stuff. Like it's raining like crazy where I'm at right now. I'm sure, you know, nobody wanted to get out and drive, but we could still get work done. You get what I'm saying? So technology has allowed us to still be able to keep moving. The only thing that we haven't used technology is to kind of figure out who we are, though. And I think that's where we are lacking with the fact of how much technology is out there, is that we're afraid to invest in that. So before we go, I wanted to lighten the mood a little bit. We're going to lighten the mood a little bit because, you know, what I wanted to do is I wanted to show the people, you know, exactly where we're coming from. Because the reason why we wanted to have
Before you up, I want to drop this point, man, because listen, I did all this research before this conversation, and the light bulb was just going off. Like, you know, that's why I got two lights on me, man. There's a light above me and a light right here. I'm feeling enlightened, brother. Like I really.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead, because we wasn't gonna leave the cop. We wasn't gonna leave it. We wasn't gonna leave it. But go ahead.
Stuff,
go ahead.
Lighten it up. But, you know, the DNA was strong. You know, the showing the different tribes in different parts of the world, and you seeing the similarities, not just of each other, but of you and I, because I saw myself on that TV. You know, that was deep. Now, if you wanted the truth, you know, if you and I were in 12th grade and we had to do a research paper, what would they tell us to do? We got to cite our sources, right?
Right.
So when you can go and cite the Bible as one source, and you read it right from there, and then you come over the top and say, but you know what? Here's some other historical pieces from that time. And here's some of the writers that you know and what they had to say about this during.
Exactly.
Now you down on them. You know what I'm saying? You double down, and then you take it this step further with the DNA. Then you say, you know what? Just in case you think I'm crazy, let me read this quote. I'm gonna put a name out there, and if my phone, not my phone, I'm on my laptop. If my laptop die and y'all don't hear from me again, y'all know what it is. But
nah, we not saying that. That's not public record. So you should
Right.
be good out here, yo. Go ahead.
they dropped the name Harold Wallace Rosenthal.
Right.
When they dropped his name, and for people who don't know who he is, I'm not even going to give you the whole story. Look that name up and look what he had to say about what's going on right now. This was 40, 50 years ago when they killed this man who was a Jew. You know, he was from that set, and he gave the cheat code. He said, hey, man, this is what's going on in the house. Let me tell you exactly what we're doing. This is exactly what we're doing to the T. And I'm so arrogant, I can tell you about it because I know that you're so ignorant, you won't do anything about it.
Right.
His own people killed him. That's, you know what I'm saying? Like, but look up any of the things that he said, and then you look at the media. You know, my Facebook account I got banned. Not banned, I got
You got locked up. You was in Facebook jail.
Yeah, because I stated the truth, man. 96% of the media that you and I process, it's owned by Jewish people.
Correct.
Right.
So when you start saying, wait a minute now, we live in America, you know, we talked about North Carolina, we talked about Brooklyn, we talked about all these different places, right? And we talked about how we were kind of put against each other on different topics, on different colors, on different everything. Why is all the media on Kyrie and all the media on Kanye been exactly the same? Why is it all the same? Because it's all from the same source.
Coming from one writer.
You've never heard any, you know what I'm saying? And you asked a question earlier, like why people, you know, these media pundits like Shaq, who they put in front of us, and Charles Barkley, who they put in front of us, Shannon Sharp, Stephen A. Smith, these people they put in front of us and say, hey, this is the black voice. Listen to the black voice. This is what they're saying. No one could stand up for him until they said it was okay. When they said, okay, you know, maybe you guys, maybe it's a little too excessive. You know, you guys can come to his defense, but not too much.
But do y'all find that ironic though that it came at a time where they just covered up the fact that Brett Favre stole all that money to get that volleyball field?
Come on.
Like that's why I say for me, like they took a tweet. But this tweet has caused so many people to go research why this tweet was such a big deal that had never saw the documentary before. The documentary been out since 2018, yo.
Right.
And because of what they did to Kyrie, it sent everybody to go figure out why. And then now everybody's like, man, I just feel like this. Like we can all say what our, you know, religious thing is, or even the people watching, I mean, whatever. We're not saying anything about that. We're not talking about any other group. All I'm going to say is that God has a way of making sure that everything that we need to know and supposed to know is going to come out. There's no such thing as his people. In every scripture that talks about any awakening of his people, it says that.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? And so the way that this information is being deviled out is like almost like a person is being so upset that they're giving people the information versus them just minding their business. If he would have just simply tweeted it and they not made an uproar, people wouldn't even be talking about it right now. But now we're talking about it, us three plus other people are talking about it with knowledge based on the fact that we actually saw it though.
Right.
It's
not just based on something that happened because of sports. My bad. Go ahead, Flo.
It's the same. It's the same song and dance. They haven't changed. Like this is the same formula they've used since the '60s before we was here. But the difference nowadays is social media. We have a way of they put something out in the news. We have a way of disagreeing with it. Like hold on, that don't make no sense.
Exactly.
I want to share a couple things real quick too before we wrap up.
All right.
Related to Semitic, the Oxford Dictionary. The Oxford Dictionary is a little different than the Webster Dictionary. It was before. It's a little different, that words, meanings, and things like that. So the Oxford Dictionary meaning of Semitic is relating to or donating a family of languages that includes Hebrew, Arabic, Aramaic, and certain ancient languages such as Phoenician and Akkadian, constituting the main subgroup of the Afro-Asiatic family.
Gotcha.
This is the
Afro.
this is the Oxford Dictionary definition. I ain't make this up. So when Kyrie said, "I know where I can't be anti-Semitic because I know where I come from," that's based on things like that, where we're not going off of the United States educational system that we were brought up, which is indoctrination. We're not going off that. We're going off things that there's manuscripts and things that now we have access to, thanks to the web, thanks to Google, thanks to these books that we can order now from Amazon. You know, all of these things that we're educating ourselves now, then talking to our brothers like, hey, I just found something out. Read this, da da da. It's their same song and dance is not working. So the anti-defamation, one more definition, the Anti-Defamation League,
Right.
formerly known as the Anti-Defamation League of Benin, right, is an international Jewish non-governmental organization based in the United States specializing in civil rights law. ADL fights all forms of anti-Semitism and bias using innovation and partnerships to drive impact. That's from their website, right? If you're going to say that, how are you allowing your own people, Jewish people that control the media, to now allow, let me see, what rapper, to come out and say, I'm gonna kill these niggas, da 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 da, or this run up music that we got now, this real music. You can't even be an artist and come out with the real music, and we know that. It's very hard to break real music like we used to in the 90s because it was so powerful. Music is so powerful. So I just wanted to break down a couple definitions and show people that we read. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the secrets between the secret relationship between blacks and Jews. That's from the Nation of Islam. This breaks down the relationship that they had with us during slavery that they said they had no part of. They can't deny anything in this book because they reference all the Jewish people.
Right.
So it's like when we start talking like this, you're gonna incite a sheep from waking up.
Mm-hmm. And that's the saddest part about it, because it's not done out of malice. It's done out of the fact that we keep being shoved in our face that our history starts with slavery.
Right.
Well, we got to understand that if you keep telling us that slavery is as far back as we should look, then you can't tell us that where we came from, where you got us from. Like, it's got to be a beginning to every story, yo. Like, we could get to the middle, we can get to the end, but it has to be a beginning to every story. If you telling me that I was a slave, and my last name tells me that, every time I have to sign anything and sign my last name, it always reminds me of that I come from, you know, a generation that was once enslaved, like in America. Like, so while I'm here in America, it's a constant reminder every time that last name moves around that I'm still moving the last name of a slave master.
Right.
I mean, it's the God, the honest truth. Like, we could say all we want. We could take as much pride in our last name as possible. We can name all kinds of estates after ourselves. We could put all these different things after our last name, and it still goes to credit to the person that used to own us at some particular point in time in this here country.
Correct.
So it's no constant time that we can maneuver, and it's not a reminder. Every one of us should, every time we have to sign our last name, look at our last name, mention our last name, that should be a reminder right then and there of the fact of where we came from. It has to have a beginning before that. And if we would just take small little indications like that to spark some type of research in our brain and get us out here, it will bring us all into a better place spiritually, because that's what we got to get to. We have to figure out a way to balance ourselves spiritually and physically. We understand that we got to work out for health, but our spirituality is whack and is weak because it has so much religious doctrine in the way. It's causing us not to be able to, really connect with the real conscious mind and spiritually for us to be able to maneuver around, because a lot of our answers that we got, a lot of our answers that we need is in the spirit. Mm-hmm. So what I was going to do before we, because we got a few more minutes before we wrap up, but what I wanted to do, I wanted to take this time real quick, and I wanted to give you guys a moment to just answer this question for me, because I think one of the ways that we can try to help each other is at least speak some type of solution. You know, we go through a lot of different opportunities where we always know the problems, what's going on in our community. We know what the problems are. But I want to ask y'all opinion about this one particular solution. I think the relationship between men and women in our community has been really, really like tainted. And I don't mean like in the relationship between personal where, you know, you talking about dating and stuff. I'm just talking about overall. Like there's no protection for the women at all. Like women can't go grocery shopping, they can't do nothing. Like things are happening to women at an alarming rate. You know, younger teenage males are assaulting women everywhere we go. It's all kind of videos popping up all over TikTok, all over everywhere where women are being assaulted. They're getting assaulted going into their homes. You know, people are watching them go into their homes and they're running in behind them. It's all kind of stuff like that. So I want to ask y'all this, man, because I think this is just me. One way that we're going to be able to build a community strong is to build our relationship between men and women. I don't think everybody need to be humping everybody. I'm talking about in the solid scenario of having the respect enough to protect the women, because the women will protect us. When it's time for court and it's time for all this other stuff, you want a woman fighting for you.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? When it comes to certain things that's needed in life, you want a woman fighting for you. It's not really about whether this is your woman or not. It's about the fact that you got to have respect for all of them. We got to find some way to bridge the gap. So what do y'all think about that?
I'm going to say, first of all, you're very right. A lot of people don't understand that even in the Black Panthers, you know, I think 70% of the Black Panthers was women. Young women at that, you know, like from like teenagers to like 30 or 40. So yeah, we do need the women. How do we get there? It's gonna be a lot of hard conversations and education. First of all, we gotta, as men, let me speak from the men's side, because I can only speak from that side. From the men's side, we have to really reach our youth first, because our youth don't understand the things that we learn and we know. And there's a disconnect. They automatically disconnect the youth from, say, the elders, because we can give them the information and they got the energy.
Right.
We really need to sit down and understand that we, like you said, we're kings. We're kings and queens, and we're not slaves. The reason why we go around and shoot each other, we don't see no value in each other. You know what I'm saying? I see walking around and you can see, you know what I'm saying? You look at the next black man, you don't see nothing in him. You know what I'm saying? You're not scared to take that man's life either. It's because of the indoctrination of, like you said, the white icons, the Jesuses, the Santas, like even the Santa thing. Your parents been busting their ass to get you up gifts, but we're going to get a credit to a fat white man. Like, but when you, as a child, and I don't want to be, you know, unbiased, but as a child, when you see that, you unconsciously look up to that race, and you unconsciously look down on yourself, like we didn't teach them everything they know. And when you start learning about where we came from, you learn that, hold on, we taught y'all to get out, you know what I'm saying, to stop sleeping, you know what I'm saying, next to your pets. And that's how the plagues came. They were sleeping with the animals, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not speaking, you know, it's just facts, you know what I'm saying? We came and helped them, the Moors. They were black. So when you teach these kids that, instead of teaching them the slave shit, and I said that shit in high school, we learn about slavery every year. Every year. Like it's American history, then it's Black history, but it's always the same thing. So until we get out of these schools, y'all, and I don't have no kids, man, but even if you got your kids in school, you got to do your work at home. Like Kevin said, what you doing in school? I need to know, so I can put some thoughts in your head so you can question what's going on, so I can give you some kind of spark, because you don't want to tell your kids what to do, but you want to give them another idea, like, hold on, don't be afraid to ask questions.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So,
and we got to have different businesses to invest in. I think once we do come across that mindset of entrepreneurship and knowing that, you know, the thought about being an entrepreneur is not so much about whether you can get yourself a big house or some cars or a bunch of stuff. It's more so about what else can you invest in.
Right.
And I think that's one of the solutions too, like you were saying, investing in certain type of education. If we can invest in the schools that we can send the kids to, then we can invest in the tutors that we can get to go around and be able to help the kids, whether it's that, if we want to homeschool, or if we find ways to set up community centers where we can school our kids by, actually giving them that type of education so they'll know how to maneuver through, allowing them to explore their imagination and be scientists and be, engineers and stuff like that at a young age. And, offer the fact of giving them trades and stuff instead of sending them to college just to try to get a degree, but send them somewhere to get them, a certificate in a trade that they can always use so they're never homeless. I think about that all the time, man. So before we wrap up, man, we're gonna wrap up. Go ahead, Kev. I'm gonna let you go before we wrap up. But before we wrap up, after Kev said, get this off, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show y'all a couple of clips of these guys in work, and us working together as black men too, also creating a brand and stuff like that. I feel like leading by example. So I'm gonna show y'all a couple of clips in a second, but Kev, go ahead and get that off real quick.
All right, so just to kind of piggyback on what Flows was talking about, and then to kind of bring it back to, I think both of y'all mentioned a little bit of Islam and kind of being introduced to that religion at some point throughout your life.
Right.
One of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life is I went to Savior's Day probably 25, maybe 26 years ago. And for those who don't know,
That's a fair comment. Yeah.
Beautiful things I've ever seen in my life, and just to see the respect that they have for their women, through this religion, and the women are clothed, they're covered, and people try to pick apart things to make it bad, but listen, they make sure that their women are not being objectified by their body. They make sure they're protected, and I think that that's where a disconnect comes in this culture that we live in, because black men were taken out of the homes, deny it all we want to. We can be like, oh, that was so long ago. But you and I, we know people today who get Section 8. And part of
right.
You can't have a man in the house.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
These food stamps, you can't have a man in the house. You want my education, I give it to you, but guess what? You can't have a man in the house. Matter of fact, if you do, put him on child support. And then you know what? He don't have any rights to his kids. And you sit here and you push this narrative and you listen to the music, and we don't need a man for nothing.
Exactly.
But you know what? We need our women. Our women need us. We need each other. Because how are our kids seeing a healthy family dynamic? I was raised by a single mother, so I never saw a man properly love my mom growing up. So it'll make it harder for me to know what that looks like day to day. And when you have, women growing up, who teach their daughters, don't you ever be dependent on a man for nothing. You go out and get your own. So now we have this whole independent woman movement where littling men, because you know what? I got a career. I want to pay something to myself. I don't need you for nothing.
Right.
But if you're a $70,000 earner and I'm a $70,000 earner, together we make we make $140,000.
Right.
A big difference with that money.
That's a fact.
A
fact. But they teaching them values about old school without teaching them values about upgrading. So they'll tell you that it's 140,000, but in certain mentalities, if you make 70, she makes 70. Once you come in, it's all about your 70.
Yeah, like, oh, so you
know
can
what I mean?
Chores, but no, babe, we supposed to network and enterprise, and we grow. And
exactly.
Even if we use my 70, your 70, we need to be investing, because
exactly.
Together, you would have your own house, I would have my own house. So it sounds like that's two houses. Now we have an investment property.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Now we're trying to, what are your aspirations? If my 70 can cover all the bills, what is it that you want to do? What can you do to help grow the community? I don't care what you go. I just want to do hair. Okay. But instead of having a chair at a salon, you need to have your own salon. And then you need to empower other sisters to come in and work at your salon, and then brand and open up another
That's
one.
right. That's right. That's right. It's all about networking and enterprising, Kev.
Yeah, because that's the thing. I mean, our community, we readily give so much money to other people. You know, in my neighborhood, if I leave out right now and go to the convenience store, it's called Brotherhood. They not me. It's owned by,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Congratulations. If I go to the food spot, I don't eat pork. They got a spot that do pizza, is no pork, all their products. I go talk to my man, he Indian. And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, damn, you know, I'm in Podunk, Selma, and there's not a black-owned business anywhere in sight. But
Right. Exactly.
like,
You know, there it is. And I think that was part of what I mean by, you know, coming together, finding a commonality, but learning what to invest in. Once we do get to a place where we can, it's like, what are we going to take our money and invest in? Because there's areas that we've made where we frequent, or we've made so much money, but we have no ownership there.
right.
You know, so it's time for us to, you know, take it up another notch and take it up to the next level. So with that being said, y'all, because we're coming close to an end, before we go, like I said, I appreciate all of y'all for watching. I'm sure there's gonna be plenty of people that's gonna watch the playback. You guys make sure y'all share this playback with, you know, your groups and all these other things. You know what I'm saying? Because this is a really great conversation, man, and I think we were able to, you know, share our differences, you know, our opinions about the same subject. And there's still more that we could build on, because it was so much about the documentary. But what we want to do is, we don't want to go too much into it, because like y'all said, everybody's sensitive. And then the further we go into it, the more that it'll seem offensive. But that's not the point. The point is not, we're not into the business of wanting to offend anybody. We're in the business of education. We want to educate ourselves. And we feel like those that we, you know, that listen to us, we feel like we can educate y'all. Y'all can educate us. Y'all can take something that we said tonight, go do your own research, and then, you know, leave some of the comments on YouTube. We're streaming live on YouTube right now. So if you watch this on YouTube later, you can join in the comments. Jump in the comments. Tell us how you feel. We'll respond. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it's open dialogue for understanding, not open dialogue for debate. We're not trying to debate with nobody, yo. We're not trying to argue with you about your point of view. I don't want to argue with no Bible thumpers about what we said tonight. Yo, y'all talking about, you know, we ain't talking about none of that. We talking about education, learning, and figuring out what applies to you. Like they say, if it applies to you, ingest it. If it don't, throw it out. That's it. You know what I mean? But don't be in a position where you hating because of what the next man says. So, but without further ado, like I said, before we go, I want to show y'all guys, the audience, some of these guys' work. You know what I mean? We got one person watching right now, but we understand that the playbacks is always dope. And we got some work from these guys. So like I said, these guys, they work, they act, they do a whole lot of other things, not just besides getting on the podcast with me tonight and talking. That's why I said, you know, it's a lot of value in the people that's always going to come on the show. So what I want to do is I want to take the time to show. I'm going to show this clip of you, Flows. Now, this is one of the clips of us working on this movie that we had called Flame On. It was like the part 2 of a movie that we did earlier that was about our vibe out. So y'all check Flows out, man. Now, this guy, I don't know, man. I would like to say when it comes to his acting, he's more of a physical actor. You know what I'm saying? He got good timing, and he definitely is good on improv. But boy, I'm gonna tell you, that physical acting is something else. Y'all check this out.
On the step. Let's go. Up, down, down. Come back down. Come back down. Give me this bag. What the fuck is this bag? Give me off the step. Off the step. Off the step. Now jump down. Over to the slide. To the slide. Slide. It's time to slide, motherfucker. Get your ass up there. Get your ass up. Get your ass up and slide. Up. Donuts. You brought donuts to a workout, motherfucker. Bring your ass down. Slide, nigga. Bring your ass down. Get down. Bring your ass down.
Yeah, that dude crazy.
Right.
Word. And you know, and that's I like that, because you know, every time you come on set, man, you show that, you know what I'm saying, you be willing to go there in those particular moments. But you come up with these on your own. It's like you get direction, and then the way that you actually deliver it, you do that on your own. So it's dope that you do that, and it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So y'all make sure y'all go check us out, man. You know what I mean? Y'all know where y'all can go check out that. Y'all can go check that out on Team Collective TV. You know what I'm saying? Y'all go check out that film real quick, man. I'm telling y'all, Flows kills it in there. So with Kev, you know, we do a lot of the skits together, man. Kev got great comedic timing, and we do great with improv too. And this is one of the latest ones that we did together, man. And the way that we maneuver through this one, I like this one a lot. I want y'all to check this one out real quick, y'all. This is Kev in action, y'all. This is where you want to go?
Yeah, it's right here, man. Look at that. I mean, it's everything. They got the ocean. Looks like they got the beach. You know, look at this, man. Look at the trees. You know, it's legit. It's official.
It look pretty good, man.
Yeah, you know how I get down? A1, 5-star.
Yeah,
you know?
That's what I know. The thing about you getting down.
Yeah.
Last time I heard you booked the trip for the boys, man, they almost didn't come back with a kidney, y'all.
See, listen, man. What's a little bit of kidney when it comes to having a good time? They had the time of their lives, right? Right?
I mean, they almost had the time of no life, though, man. Like, what are we doing? Yo, I'm telling you, man, we be on set, man. We be giving it up, man. We be going through it, man, and I love it, man. You know what I'm saying? And I want to just make sure that y'all guys know how much I appreciate y'all, man. Y'all always, you know, whenever I got an idea and you know I can include y'all, y'all don't hesitate coming out and getting down with me, man. So I appreciate that for sure. I just want to make sure that we stay motivated, y'all. You know what I mean? We keep sharing the content that we do have. You know what I'm saying? Don't take no days off, man, because what I did realize about even today's conversation and one thing about Hebrews and Eagles that I want to say was most relevant is the fact of us believing in our own abilities. One thing that I think that, you know, we do in this content creation thing, whether it's our skits or our music is whatever, is that, you know, these are things that we come up with ourselves. These are what we create, right? And I just think that we should take that just as serious as the things that we use each and every day to try to get by. Because for the most part, y'all, we go to work for somebody else or whatever we do, we'll give them our undivided attention for that check. But when it comes to our own things, we kind of slack a little bit because we don't see the reward right away, like every 2 weeks or every week when people get these checks. But I want to just encourage y'all, man. Like, y'all see content, y'all still got it out there. Keep sharing it, keep pushing it. Y'all guys are killing it. People are responding to it, so people like it. People like what y'all do, bring like the characters that y'all play. So just stay motivated, y'all. You know what I'm saying? And any last words y'all want to give to the people before we go, y'all?
I would just say, man, just stay up, man. Much love, spread love, not hate, and remember to educate.
Absolutely. Take to learn something. Something interesting that that interests you, share it with somebody else, and keep that cycle going, because the day that you stop learning, you stop growing. And if you're not growing, you're dying. So make sure that you're always, and be around people who can spark curiosity, people who can tell you something. You're like, really? I never heard about that. And, give you something different. And that's one of the things I definitely like about being connected with you fellas, man, because y'all keep me motivated, man. I'm always checking for what y'all doing, because it helps continue to say, you know what, there's another level to rise to. So as long as you got people around you that are keeping you motivated and keeping you grounded to an extent, because we don't do any of this out of hate. We do it out of love, and we want to share ideas, because ideas will help people grow.
Facts. So yeah, without further ado, like I said, man, I appreciate y'all boys coming on, man. Y'all know we got more to do, so stay tuned for that. We back in the saddle, man. So filming is about to jump right back into full gear. So I'll be reaching out to you guys as always ahead of time, making sure y'all available, man, so we can get this shit rolling. And like I said, for all y'all that are watching, we appreciate y'all for watching. Don't forget, y'all go out there, y'all check out these records, man. That's out everywhere, y'all. We everywhere, anywhere, any streaming platform that y'all looking at, we on it, y'all. I promise y'all. We on Deezer, we on Spotify, we on Apple Music, we on iTunes, we everywhere, yo. So go check us out, man. It's a bunch of content out there from Team Collective, and it's a bunch of records out there by myself. But listen, I want y'all to all go stream this new record. Y'all gotta go check it out.
Yeah, I'm gonna listen, and she said, yeah. please, 'cause this is something I need. It sure ain't rocket science, and maybe not be too deep, but every time that you're with me, feels so good. Yeah, come on, feels so good.
And y'all gotta check this joint out too, man.
It'll be alright if you spend the night. Ain't gon' lie, we gon' be all night. Yeah, spend the night. I bet you the neighbors be uptight if you spend the night. So high, we gon' touch the sky if you spend the night. That room shaking back.
Yo, like I said, man, yo, I appreciate all y'all watching. I appreciate y'all, my guests, for coming on, man. And like I said, always, man, we gonna keep moving. We gonna keep grinding, yo. We never look back. And we don't give up, yo. You know how it go. Grind over matter, yo. Salute to y'all guys, man. I'll be hollering at y'all soon, man. Word up, yo. Shout out to everybody that's watching. Remember, this is Sparking Conversation, yo. Double salute.